Welcome back. Welcome back. A long hiatus. It was just a week. But I have a special treat for y'all today. And it is a dear friend of mine.
Oh my God.
And probably the most inspirational man walking the planet right now. His name is Inky Johnson.
My God.
Bro, how are you doing?
Man, great, man.
It's been some years since I saw you, man.
It has, man. You know, we talked, though.
We
been some years since we've seen each other.
We text talk.
You know, text talk, you know.
Yeah, we keep up with the fam and everything, man. Social media actually helps out with that a lot. Like,
absolutely.
Because, like, I couldn't imagine, like, our people growing up. Like, you lose contact with your people. Like, you know, write them a letter.
Right.
Because if you switch a number, how you going to know they switch your numbers? You know, like, social media
done.
really keeps you in contact with people that you love, man.
Absolutely.
So, we went to the University of Tennessee together, same recruiting class.
Yep.
But you grew up in East Atlanta, Zone 6, if I remember correctly. Zone 6, because you we made some rap songs back in the day, man. So I appreciate you. The bars was all right, man.
I was terrible.
I ain't gonna let that.
Yours was, but I was terrible.
I ain't gonna let it go though. It's all good, man.
Terrible.
We'll keep it locked in the safe. But you grew up in a poverty-stricken area in Atlanta, and you made it to the University of Tennessee. Like, tell me about that strife.
You know, man, for me, you know, growing up East Atlanta, and Atlanta people know Kirkwood, and then when you say Zone 6, it's a couple of neighborhoods within that zone. You know, it's a couple of neighborhoods. You got Edgewood, you got Kirkwood, got East Atlanta, you got East Lake. Right. You know, all are pretty similar. You know, when you talk about crime, when you talk about violence, you know, when you talk about the dynamics of the family. And so growing up for me, born to a mother at 16, two-bedroom home, 14 people, you know, and getting to the University of Tennessee on a full athletic scholarship from Crim High School, you know, Atlanta Public School, dropout rate higher than the graduation rate.
Jesus.
Was pretty special, you know, but, you know, it's almost like that quote, you know, that says, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. You know, there's a lot of people that helped me along that journey to see my potential. But also, you know, when a person invests in you and a person sees something in you when you can't see it in yourself, it gives you this weird type of feeling of, I want to give these people a return on their investment. Like a coach found me playing in the street when I was 7 years old, you know, me and my cousins, you know, and was like, man, I'm going to sign you all up to play ball. And it changed the trajectory of my life. Right. And so at every phase of my life, it was people like that came in, you know, and invested time. And that's affected how I live my life today.
Right. So where does that mentality come from? Because I think we're kind of opposite ends of the spectrum of like optimism is concerned.
Right.
I always kind of boast about it on this podcast. I'm kind of a pessimist, man. I see the bad in the world where you kind of see the opposite. But we both ended up successful coming from very poor circumstances, right?
Absolutely.
So where does your optimism come from? Because a lot of where I drew my inspiration from was proving people wrong. Right.
Absolutely.
I just hated people doubting me. I hated coming from the circumstances I came from. Like I used to hate the most. So we grew up in like rough neighborhoods, and like our like basketball teams or football teams were just full of athletes, but like we had no discipline. And we used to go play crosstown teams who didn't have any athletes, but they were just well coached.
Absolutely.
And they were usually the white kids from the suburbs, right? I used to look at them like they bothered me. They bothered me so much just because they had what I didn't have. So I was like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to be more than they are. So It was just like that negative energy drove me to death, and like that positive energy drove you, which is it's insane to me, like how the opposite ends of the spectrums kind of ended up walking the same kind of like life path, man. Like where did you draw that optimism from?
I think the energy that we both possessed was one and the same. I think our perspectives probably was different.
That's deep though.
But the energy was the same.
Right.
My energy is to prove people wrong. Your energy is to prove people wrong. But the perspective of what we channeled the energy with was a little bit different. Right. And the reason I got the perspective that I have in terms of optimism is because the first person that helped me, I'm in an all-black neighborhood. You got murder. You got violence. You got drugs being sold. Drug dealers on the corner. You've seen it. And for a white man to come into that neighborhood in a blue pickup truck, get out of his truck in the street, and we're surrounded by black people.
There's the police.
Right. They take off running. My uncles, they take off. They're like, Ink, don't talk to him. Guy got to be the police.
Right.
And so when it happened, a lot of people would say, oh, he saw y'all play. But at the time he pulled up, we weren't playing. I was standing on the curb with the football in my hand. My 3 younger cousins were standing on the opposite sidewalk. No move was being made.
Right.
We had already made our plays. We're trying to beat the street lights.
Right.
And my man is creeping. And so for him to talk to my uncle, talk to my family, sign us up, and me watch how he lived his life.
Right.
And then later on find out he didn't care if I made it to the NFL. Right? And then to have a coach in the 8th grade, math teacher, black guy, help me, invested in me. And so at an early age, I had kind of seen white and black help me and invest in me. Right. And they really didn't want anything in return but for me to become a great citizen. Right. And so the optimism that I view the world with, I think is, formed because that happened at an early age. Right. But I think the energies we possess, we played on the same team. Right. Our lockers were right down from each other. Right. We spent a lot of time together. And so that whole I'm going to prove you wrong type of energy, we both possess it. Right. I think the journeys and the starting point, affect a lot of people's perspective in life.
I agree. And I think a big part of that was like, I never had like, I would say like a mentor, right? Mm. So like everything I kind of learned, it was just what I picked up from other people's mistakes, right? So I never had that person to pull me aside. Like, I had my father growing up, but like there was so much turmoil in the household. We were just trying to survive. Yeah. There was a lot of things that I missed out on from that aspect. But I think that mentor aspect of somebody just believing in you like that, absolutely. I think it was prevalent, but and thinking back, it might have just been one of those cases where it's like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Because like I was just so bitter at my circumstances, I was just so bitter at everything involved that I probably couldn't even see somebody trying to pull me up out of that. Mm. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this.
Okay, shoot.
Would you consider that to be negative energy? If that same energy you possess help you have the life that you now have? Because you still operate within that energy in everything you do. You still got that edge.
Yeah. It is a negative energy. I'll tell you why it's a negative energy. Mm-hmm. But it's like you said earlier. It's a negative energy, but I think I channel it differently. So I don't, and I used to. Like there are things that I used to do that were it was self-harming, right? But I've learned that there are people in my life that do care about me, so there's no reason to self-harm anymore. Absolutely. Or make decisions anymore that will, that aren't towards my benefit. But it is a negative energy because if I'm sitting here always trying to prove people wrong, or you always feel like you're fighting odds, you always feel like you're fighting, you always feel like your back is against the ropes, it's probably because it is. Like, I'm not crazy. Like people want to see you fail. Like, I guarantee you, and we'll get into the plight of your success, but I know there's people like that look at you who's a motivational speaker, and I know there's people that look at you and be like, man, fuck that dude. Like there has to be like that's just the way the world operates, right. And granted, it's like the yin and the yang of, and that kind of makes the balance of whatever. But like, I don't understand that mentality, and that mentality pisses me off, and it is a negative energy that drives me, but I channel it differently. Gotcha. I don't think. I say this all the time on this podcast, bro. Like, I just think people are inherently bad. I do. Like, I think there are great people. I think there are bad people. But I think the majority of people are pieces of shit. That's just how I feel, man. I just have to feel like when people have a chance to twist that knife, they're going...
Think so?
They're going 360 that thing. That's just... I mean... Right. The more like there's so much evidence out here, and there's good people. Don't get me wrong, but like look at the circumstances that we live in. Mm-hmm. Like we live in the most affluent country in the world, and there's homeless people. Right. We live in the most pro-military country in the world, and we can't homeless people make up the majority of vets make up the majority of the homeless people. So it's like. I think we like talking out the sides of our neck. People like the perception of who they are more than they actually who they are.
I agree.
Especially in the age of social media. But great question, man. So I want to get into your time at the University of Tennessee, man. Mm-hmm. Your time. You can put your phone. This is a very loose podcast, man. We ain't. You know what I mean? But your time at the University of Tennessee, because I think just like our life path, it was different.
Absolutely.
Like I looked at that place, just the institution of the NCAA, as just a very negative place, and it's a they treat us like cattle. We were their show horses, and we made millionaires. We made our coaches millionaires, and we gave them affluent lives, and there was little in return other than the hoax of education and the slim chance of professional football. And so it was hard for me. It was hard for me to look past that during my tenure there. How did you view that whole situation? Because I don't think we've ever even talked about this before. So how did you view that the whole system of the NCAA from the coaches? And I know you just pulled up in a Lexus, but our coach used to pull up in a Lexus too, and that shit used to piss me off. But like, so the whole establishment of college, like what was your experience with that?
So the institution of the NCAA, I think, everybody in the world knows that institution has some problems with it.
Not everybody ain't.
Yeah.
Those people I was telling you about earlier.
Right. But in terms of, the coaches and the routes that they've taken to coach, the routes that we've taken as athletes, I look at it in terms of, mission, purpose, and things of that nature. Like a lot of those coaches, that's what they set out to do, right? If you got an educator or a teacher, that's what they set out to do. You got a cop, that's what they set out to do. Got athletes, that's what they set out to do. Now, when you look at the system of it and the way we play ball, a lot of that is based upon where we come from, right? And the quickest shot to get to where we're trying to get to in order to help our families. Now, you got people in the world that say, well, everybody doesn't have to be an athlete. You're right? Some people can be attorneys. Some people can be doctors. You're right. But if somebody has been, gifted and talented with this ability to run, to jump, whatever the case may be, everybody has their gift. Some guys could count like crazy, right? Do math like crazy. Some guys, in terms of language, right? They're incredible. And so whatever that gift and that talent is, to perpetuate it at its highest level, to provide for their families and contribute back to the world, whatever that journey and that route is, that's personal preference, right? And so if we want to be athletes because of where we come from and we love it and we get to a certain point to where now we can take care of our families, we can contribute back to society, then coaches have taken a route to coach, and that's their purpose and their mission, to cultivate the talent that they see in young men. But if they benefit off of it, cool. Now, I agree in some instances, when you got national championship and you got playoffs and you got bonuses getting given out, right, to coaches, and you got players playing, right, that don't receive anything. Now, I don't think that's right? When you got the institution that make money off of a star player when he's driving it, right? He's balling, but jersey sales and all these different things. Now, I don't think that's right. But when you look at the grand scheme of it and the routes that everybody choose to take, I think it's personal preference. And whatever happens in the end of that, like when you look at education, right? I think education, me personally, I think education is the great equalizer in life. For me, right? Agree. I got injured, right? I got injured, almost lost my life, paralyzed my right arm and hand, right? Yeah, as cliche as it may sound, they took the game away from me, but they couldn't take my brains away from me, right? I'm still a very intelligent man.
Told you had bars.
Right? Right? And it isn't, in these days, it isn't my athletic ability that's helping me provide for my family. I can't run. I can't jump. I can't cover a cat on a skinny post. I can't. I had to take what I learned, right, and somehow cultivate it throughout this institution called the University of Tennessee, which gave me a scholarship, and I'm very grateful for it. And so now I can go out and contribute to the world. That aspect and take of care of my family.
And we're gonna get into all of that, but like that aspect of it right there, I think is detrimental to the progress of what the NCAA will be in the future, because I think that system is going to collapse. But you said they gave me a scholarship and I'm grateful for it. Absolutely. And I understand you're an eternal optimist, but they didn't give you shit. Like you earned it. You know what I'm saying? So like I hate that they used to tell us that in the NFL too, right? And he was like, it's a privilege to wear this shield.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a privilege. Like, I bled for this shit. How is it? I earned this. It is a right. I earned this right. Like, I bled for this shit. So it's like when people, I think language is extremely important on how we condition human beings.
Absolutely.
Right. So when I think it's just you being an optimist, but how they sell it and how they want us to receive it is that language is you should be grateful that they gave you an opportunity. Like, I wasn't gonna get to college without football. Like, that's how I feel like that's how they put it on us, man. And I fucking hate that language because I feel like it's demoralizing. It's like you have to be in the 1% to be a Division I college athlete. Then you have to be in the 1% of the 1% to be an NFL athlete. Then you have to be in the 1% of the 1% of the 1% to be a Pro Bowl athlete.
Absolutely.
Right? So in order to reach all of or break all these barriers, you have to do things that not a lot of humans can do or are willing to do. So when you tell me it's a privilege, I don't think we understand the same definitions of privileges. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this. So is it more about perception because of the spirit that you possess and how you perceive it, right? And so when you say it's demoralizing or they present the information in such a way that we should be grateful to play, shouldn't we be grateful? Because you got guys that started off that had a dream of some such and something happened and they can't.
So you mean when you say grateful, you mean like eternally grateful, like
like gratitude. We can come in here and not on no optimism, not on no fluffy stuff, no candy coated stuff, but like we can come in here, we can sit and we're in our right minds,
right? And
we can speak intelligently about things.
So far,
right?
Yeah, you never know, man. CT might sneak up on me, dog.
Right, and so you have some ability to where you can run a ball and you're smart, intelligent, like not a lot of people can do. Right. So should you be grateful for that? Like every time we got to take the field, shouldn't we be grateful regardless of what anybody says? Right. Regardless of how they present information, it's not based upon how I perceive what you say, but more so how I feel about what I'm able to do.
Okay, and I would agree with that. And I think that's that glass half full kind of Inky that you are, right? But I think and I could be wrong, and I hate saying I could be wrong because that means I'm willing to. So when they talk about you should be grateful, I don't feel like their intent is that, right? I don't feel like their intent is, no, I'm just talking about you live in an amazing country. That was pure luck. You live in a free country. That was pure luck. We get to breathe air. Some people are healthy. Like just be grateful for the things that I don't think they're talking about that.
Right.
I don't get that sentiment from them. And if I did, I would feel like they would break you off a piece of that pie that you helped build anyway. I feel like the sentiment that they say when they say be grateful is shut up, you get enough.
Right.
Like you're lucky you're getting what you're getting. Like that's how I view it.
I get it.
And I could be wrong, but when you look at the history of the sports world, is it not the same way that they treated indentured servants? Like it's the same exact thing. Like we'll give you food, we'll give you board, and you shut up and play. And then the way they treat athletes intellectually anyway is bullshit.
Right.
Shut up and play. We don't want to hear from you. I just want to watch my football. I don't want to hear how you think. You know what I'm saying? So like when all that is packaged together, then they say be grateful. It's a slight in my eyes. And I understand where you're coming from. Like me and you could have a conversation. Like I'm extremely grateful for my family, my loved ones, my health, my everything that life is. Even if it wasn't, even if the circumstances that are right now aren't, I love life. Like I'm super interested in life, and I'm grateful for all of this, the country that I live in, all of that. But when they package it to me like that, there are too many variables that say that they don't want to see me succeed. That it's hard for me to accept that it's a nice sentiment from them. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm a pessimist, though.
Right. No, I get it. But see, me and you both, we think.
Right.
And so if your beliefs and your actions are not predicated upon what others think, like it's not, like the way I live my life, it's not predicated upon how you treat me. Right? Like I'm going to show up and I'm going to work hard regardless of what you think, regardless of what you say to me, right? Because I got a certain dignity and integrity as a man, right? And so if I'm placed in an institution, which we were, to play ball, if you're telling me I'm going to be grateful Like the minute I give you that control, the minute I ride that emotional roller coaster to say, oh, you saying this in that way, so I'm gonna show you. I'm not gonna be grateful. I'm gonna challenge you, right? And we know cats that's been like that. I'm not gonna be great. Like forget you. I know what you say. I know the sentiment in what you're saying it with. Right. No, I'm not gonna give you that liberty.
So you saying you don't even want to give them that mental leverage of, even if they are being assholes. You like whatever you saying.
That's on you.
The perception I have of it is I am a grateful human being.
Because I'm not gonna play that game with you.
Right.
Because the moment a cat start playing that game, they're caught up in an emotional roller coaster, and if you're not careful, everybody doesn't possess the discipline that their actions, their dedication and commitment cannot be predicated upon which one says to them.
Yeah.
Right?
No, 100%.
And so that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you. You know, I would agree with that. And I think a lot of the time when I was in college, I fell victim to that. I fell victim to the circumstances that I was in because I let myself get emotional about what I viewed as were injustices upon athletes in the collegiate system. And
the crazy part is, half of more than half. You were right.
Oh, 100%. But you're right. And it was it's that eternal and I guess it's this, man. It's like I see cats, like I remember I think it was 2013 or 14 or something like that. I came out with I was in that documentary called Schooled, The Price of College Sports. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Netflix. You should watch it. But I had said I took money under the table. Right.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, and appreciate you, man. You know, I don't talk to you that much. So no, but I said I took money under the table, and I thought guys were gonna be like, man, hell yeah, I'm gonna say it too.
Right.
But no, it was pure like, why would you do that? Like you snitching. I had Gary Payton call me a snitch. I had Dick Vitale call me a prostitute. Oh, he's like, why would you say that? It was on Twitter too. He said, why would you say it now when you taking money? He said, like a prostitute. And so I hit him back and said, well, that makes you a pimp then, because you've been making money off of 18-year-olds for years, Dickie. Right? So like I had all the guys, like a lot of guys came up to me, he's like, man, why would you mess it up for the younger cats? And I'm like what you guys don't understand is, if everybody stood up and said, if Inky, if everybody stood up and said, I'm not saying you did, I'm just saying
I wasn't a baller like you.
Yeah, you know. I saw them projections. But if everybody stood up and said, I took money, right? Say everybody on the Alabama team stood up and said, I took money this year. I took $5,000 from a booster. And then I think they're playing Georgia in the national championship. So Georgia came out and said, every one of those players said I took $5,000. Were they not gonna play the game?
Right.
There's too much money on the line.
Absolutely.
There's way too much money on the line. So that's what they like. We didn't understand our power, and that's what frustrated me. It frustrated me from there because they didn't see talking about the establishment doesn't see our power. Then I'm mingling with my guys who don't see the same power, and I'm like, it was the most frustrating juxtaposition to be in, because I'm like, I feel like I'm in the middle, and then I got my men's, they're calling me crazy. Then they're calling me ungrateful. So it just puts you in this like turmoil of, I just want to see better, but I look like the bad guy. You know what I mean? And so then it's like even more fuck the world. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm trying to be good. Like, I'm like the Dark Knight. I'm the hero that this city deserves, not that it needs. But you're right though. Perspective did change my trajectory in my life though. Because when I went undrafted, I had to change the way I thought, because I couldn't motherfuck my way into the NFL. I had to swallow. I had to eat a lot of crow. I had to swallow a lot of pride, and sometimes I had to do things that I didn't want to do, or say things I didn't want to say. But in that, I realized that exactly what you're talking about. That I could take that power back, and it sounds super Oprah-ish, but like it's real. Like I could take that power back from people that I gave to them in the first place.
Absolutely.
I think that as a man, you grow, you learn there are battles you need to fight, and there are battles that you need to not fight. And one of those battles is you don't need to fight yourself.
Absolutely.
And I was
That's
definitely
the biggest.
Yeah, and I was definitely fighting myself, man. I know we kind of skipped over, man, but it was a momentous moment in your life, and I was on the sidelines, and so everything that happened that night is what is the reason why a big part of the reason why you are the man you are today. And before that, and I just have to say, before that, you were one of the most humble, kind, genuine, just like a real person that I've ever met. Like I before that happened and after that happened, I was like, fuck the world for you, right? But like never once did I see you wavering. You might have in your personal time, but like you didn't let us see that. You didn't let it. I don't know if you didn't want to let us see that, but like you came and talked to the team, like trying to motivate us to win a game, and I'm like, man, fuck this game. I don't care about this shit. It's crazy. But like you kept this reserve about you that I was envious of. And I always try to tell people how I feel about them while they're here, man. Like I always tell, give me my flowers while I'm walking. Absolutely. Don't lay them shits in my coffin, bro. Tell me how you felt about me while I'm here. So I always used to tell you, but you were inspiring to me, and a big part of the reason why I am who I am. You definitely took a part of your armor and put it on mine, man. But so it was 2006. I think it was week 2 of the college season. We was playing Air Force. And explain what happened on that play, man.
And so, fourth quarter of the game, a little bit over 2 minutes left, and went to hit a guy. Quarterback released the ball to him. And when I hit him, the crazy thing was his helmet hit me between my neck and my shoulder. So it sent my neck one way, sent my shoulder opposite way, and it tore the nerves in my brachial plexus. I had a brachial plexus avulsion, and my subclavian artery ruptured. So the brachial plexus are the nerve roots that come from the spine and control shoulder, arm, hand. I ripped them all out. Subclavian artery is the main artery that goes down through your chest. I ruptured it, so I was bleeding internally. And so I ended up almost losing my life. They had to perform life-saving surgery that night. And, by grace, the next morning I was there, man. And my career ended, obviously, paralyzed right arm and hand. And had to adjust and pivot and learn how to live life all over again. Definitely one of, if not the toughest moment of my life, emotionally and physically. Right. And the crazy thing is now I'm 12 years, north of that situation. And I can honestly say, and people don't understand it, I can honestly say if I were able to go back to that moment, just because of the way I live my life, I wouldn't change it.
Really?
And people don't understand it because people look at it and they say, man, you got a paralyzed right arm and hand. Like, that was your dream, to one day play in this thing called the NFL, right? And you got injured. Your life changed. And so it's crazy, man, because before the injury happened, I had all these things that I thought were so important, right? And when I woke up the next morning, everything I thought was so important, everything I once valued, the level of importance on my life chart, it was at the bottom of the totem pole. It wasn't that important anymore. Like, I'm a firm believer, everybody should experience something in life that shifts their perspective. Not that you got to have an injury or something physically happen to you, but everybody should hit something in life and it shifts their perspective. It's like that the attitude that I live my life with and the spirit that I live my life with, I could say 80 to 90% of it is a result of my injury, right? Because it made me appreciate life. It made me appreciate people. It made me appreciate moments. It made me realize that I couldn't play with you. I couldn't ride the emotional roller coaster. I almost lost my life in a moment for something I've been doing from 7 to 20 years old. Right. It boiled down to one moment. Right? And so when I look at life in the grand scheme of it, my perspective about it is just different. Right? And sometimes people say optimism. Sometimes people say, man, you're so positive about everything. I fight for it. It's just like character. Like nobody, I don't care where you born at. I don't care who you were born to. Right? Nobody comes into this world and they just possess character. It doesn't happen. Right? You got to wake up, you got to fight, and you got to build it. Right. Every single day, you got to fight for happiness. That's real. You got to fight for joy. You know what I'm saying? You got to fight to have a perspective that see things on the right side of the coin. You got to fight for that. And so my whole life, I've always been a fighter, right? Sometimes I was just fighting the wrong thing. I was just fighting other people's opinion. I was just fighting other people's perception and I would say expectations, right? And it got to a point in my life I don't care what you say. It ain't nothing against you. It ain't no disrespect against you. with all respect, what Michael Blackson say, with all due respect, I mean no respect. Right? It ain't none of that, bro. It's just that I'm trying to be the best man that I could be. I got a son. I got a daughter, 6 and 7 years old. I got a wife. I got 3 younger sisters that are dependent on me to live life the right way, to be the leader that I'm called to be. And so I wouldn't change it, bro. Nothing in the world.
That's so deep, though. Like, you got me ready to run through a wall, too. Like, it's crazy. But, like, I think that, I mean, what you do now is, I hate to say meant to be, because you know how I am theologically. Right. But it works perfectly to your personality, man. And you touch so many people, man. I look at your social media posts, man. And how the hell, first of all, do you follow 16,000 people on Twitter?
Yeah, I always follow people.
That's crazy.
Like, from the point when I first got on, I was just following, because I didn't always have that many followers, and I still don't got a lot. Like, but I just used to follow everybody.
I was looking at you the other day. You had said something, and I clicked your profile. I was like, what the fuck is he following?
Yeah, I just used to
ain't
follow
checking for all them people,
right?
man. They be scrolling. You don't be looking at no tweet. But
I just used to follow people, man.
No, but I see your social media posts, and it's just powerful. The shit that you say, it's like you have this uncanny ability, for me anyway, to like tap into things that I would not be able to articulate the best of my emotions, right? So like you'll say shit, just like you say, you have to get up, you have to fight for character. I learned that shit the hard way. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I learned that shit is not like that road, that pathway to happiness. It's not just be happy. Like, no, you have to fight. There are days where you're like, man, fuck this shit. But like, I have to choose to do the right thing, whatever, quote unquote, the right thing. I have to choose. You have to make those choices, and then it's a conscious decision to be happy. I thought happiness was just you was either born with it but like you say those things and articulate it in a way that's just so powerful, bro. Like it's powerful, and a lot of people need to hear. That's why I wanted to get you on, but I know you have President Trump's schedule. Yeah, right. Shit, man. But I had to get you on because a big part of this podcast, man, is me sitting down talking with people, and that's how I learn about myself. So like I've already grown from this conversation. I mean, it's been a while since we talked like in depth like that, but it just helps with my perspective on life. How did you transition from, because it's an important step from like now you're talking in front of Fortune 500 companies to NFL teams to everything. I've seen you talk to any higher ups, lower ups, whatever. You just inspire people. So how do you make that transition from I lost movement in my arm, I lost the dream, which is it's almost as detrimental as losing movement in your arm, as that dream you've had since you were a kid. That's all you knew. So you've lost these things. How do you then transition? When did you know what you wanted to do, and how did you make that transition?
Right. I would say it just happened, man. You know, it was never a day to where I said I want to be a public speaker, motivational speaker. It never came to me that way. I was just serving. Right. You know, like even when we was at the university, you know, sometimes we would go out, maybe we would go see some kids or something, or do Habitat for Humanity or something. And when I was back in Atlanta, I was still just volunteering, whether it was at my community center or different places. And I think when you serve, opportunity comes, right? Like I think service is the currency to elevation, right? You want to be elevated in life, you serve, right? And I was just serving. And through that, opportunity came. And when opportunity came, I'm the type of person always want to have a certain level of reverence and respect for what I do, whether it's playing football, whether it's washing cars, you know, whether it's speaking, whatever the case may be. I think I owe that to myself, right? To when I do something, to try to do it at the highest level that I can possibly do it at. Not what somebody expects me to do, but to perfect my craft, study, and do it at the highest possible level that I can. And so when I got opportunities, I just tried to perfect it as best I could, right? And more opportunities came. And so when I made the pivot, it just came from serving. Right. And so when I got the opportunity, I went in and I did my due diligence to serve as best I could. And so now I'm still doing it. And now when you look back on it, man, like if somebody would have came to me and said, you're going to be a speaker one day, I'd be like, man, you lost your mind, right? Because even when we played, like we would have moments to where we would all get passionate or speak about something, but I wasn't never the guy that was just always talking. That wasn't me, right? And so by doing this, I really believe in, and when I say life, like I trust life, right? Like my intuition, I trust life, right? In terms of the route that I've taken, right? And where I've ended up at, right? Like football, my career ending, right? And now ending up on this path and my life is still beautiful, right? Like people look at it and say, I lost the dream. I lost my use of my right arm, but I've gained 10 times more. And so when I say I trust life, I'm talking about the grand scheme of it and the plan and the journey of it.
So when you talk about that scheme, not to cut you off,
right?
Bro.
No, you good.
So when you talk about that, like you trust life, you trust this game, are you referring to an entity?
When you say entity,
A God,
right? Absolutely.
Like, all right. So like, explain to me how your faith has gotten you to, because I struggle with faith, but it's not that I struggle with
I don't
faith.
say struggle with.
I don't
you
have
it. You got your own beliefs.
Yeah. Right. So like, it's interesting to me because like you're one of the few. I don't want to say few because I don't like to typecast, but you're one of the religious people in my life who I don't mind at all, right? Because you don't push your religion on anybody. No. It's for you. You believe that's the right way to walk, and that's just, if everybody has their own path that they need to walk, and you're perfect, okay, and you accept everybody who they are, and there's no judgment there. Like that's how I feel if Jesus was the man that they said he would have walked, right? It's these other kind of religious folks that get on my nerves and they push legislation. Whole other conversation. I don't want to get into that because that's not this kind of party. But explain to me. It's interesting to me how people find inspiration in. And I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but from our vantage point as somebody who's like a non-believer, like you find inspiration from a God that I don't see any evidence for, right? So to me, I view Inky as he motivates the shit out of himself, right? And you draw that inspiration from your deity. Like explain that relationship that you have.
Right. So the way I look at it and view it is I was raised a certain type of way. And so my beliefs is connected to the way I was raised, right? From the time I was a kid. And so, you know, even when the reason I can accept people and their beliefs,
us heathens.
Right. No, it's because, you know, it's not my place to judge. Right. Whatever a person is being guided by, that's their personal opinion. Right. I choose to be led by God, Jesus, Christ. You know, that's my belief. That's where my faith, my fortitude comes from. You know, that's what I believe has helped me get to this point in my life, you know, in different cases and different moments. And so when you speak about the creator, I just look at life and some things, whether it's a human growing in another human.
Right? That shit's still weird to me, bro.
Right? Like when I watch my baby come out, my daughter, I was like, how do one explain this? Right? The way the mind works, the way the body heals, right? The seasons in the world, the way things work, right? It has to be something, right? It has to be something creating that. And so in terms of a person's beliefs, that's theirs. But the way I believe, it's been planted in me since I was a kid, you know, from my grandmother and my mother, you know, so.
I feel you on that. And that's why I don't have any issue with the way you view your theological outlook in life. Like it doesn't bother me. Like some people's theology bothers me because it, just like I said, it kind of, it prods and pokes into other people's freedoms almost. And then they start using that book or other books, because it's not just Christianity, it's Islam, it's Judaism, but they start using the books as kind of leverage over morality, right? And then you start playing psychological games with people, whereas like, and I feel like that even if you was right and you had one of the 1,000 gods that, and you got the correct one, right? Even if you are like that's how I always looked at it. I was like, yo, bro, if this dude looks at me, and if there is one, and at the end of the day, I kick the bucket, and I'm standing in line, and I got my ticket, and they call my number, and he's like, yo, I was real. I was like, all right, that's what's up, but let me plead my case.
Absolutely.
You didn't leave much evidence, man.
Right.
And there was a lot of misnomers out here. There was a lot of other y'all out here. How was I supposed to make that differentiation? If you don't feel me, hey, I guess we partying downstairs, man. That's all good.
Right.
No, man, but you what is it like talking to, because man, I was so fucking pissed off. 2014, I tried to get my head coach. Remember I called you, I was like, I texted you. I tried to get you to come talk to me. This was before you blew up, right? And I told you I had to get you on a podcast before you go to OBrien and shit. But I tried to get you to come talk to my team. And like they just, if you don't have the numbers, like you know what I'm saying? Like I hated that shit though, because I was like, yo, this dude is one of the most inspirational cats you could. Like we used to bring people to talk to us, and you just sitting there like, bro, like I gotta go home. Like this is whack. But like I feel like a lot of people could have drew from you, and they do, and they would have. But what is that like? Because I know people come up to you after you talk to them, and they're ecstatic, and they're emotional, and they're like, you have this, like I said, you have this ability, man, to touch people emotionally that it's rare. Like I could talk to people, I could sit here and talk to the Pope, or I could talk to your neighborhood drug dealer, and we can have a conversation across the spectrum. Absolutely. But you have a special ability to like pull and evoke emotion out of people with words. Like what is that like, having that ability? Because I don't think I have it.
Absolutely. I think it comes with a heavy responsibility.
Right.
You know, because like you said, many are called, few are chosen, right? To speak to people in that way, and they feel something. And so, like, even every place I go, like I look at it as appointment and assignment, right? Like I don't believe in coincidence. If I'm under a bridge talking to a homeless man, right, which I was when ESPN called me to do the short film, I was engaging in dialogue with the homeless gentleman.
Oh, wow. I thought
right, yeah.
You really were?
Yeah, for real,
That's
for real.
crazy.
When I saw Oprah back in the day in Chicago, when I took the leap from Atlanta and just drove up when I first did my book, and you guys were at my wedding.
Right.
Yeah, shortly after that, I drove up to Chicago on a whim, right? Around the last days of her show, and just went up, took a leap of faith to see could I get her my book. And I got in a situation, I was sitting down on the curb with a homeless gentleman after I got discouraged, right? Shortly thereafter, I get up on the sidewalk, Oprah, her security guard.
What the fuck?
We have a short exchange.
Man, get the fuck.
Gave her my book, right? Crazy, right? And so I believe that's
that type of shit there, man.
Yeah, moments, man.
That shit's
moments,
crazy.
bro. Moments. And I drove from Atlanta.
There's a whole bunch of Christians out there like, see, God is real.
Faith.
Believe.
Right. But it happened, man.
That's insane.
And so the places I go to speak, like even with y'all, like being my brothers in the league, you know, I never wanted to press y'all to be like, hey man, tell your coach to let me come speak. Right. I felt that was unfair to y'all. You know, y'all in that position. I never wanted to put y'all in a position to be like, Ink, my man, I'm trying to press y'all. No, like I'm a work. I'm a grind, I'm a serve. And when it's time, it'll happen. Like if I'm supposed to go to that place, I'll go to that place. Right. Whether I go to a shelter or whether I go to Fortune 500, whatever place I'm at, I'm supposed to go there. And so I'm really not tripping, because everybody in terms of mission, everybody in terms of purpose, we don't live on the same frequency. Yeah. And I'm cool with that.
That's real.
Like it's nothing against them. I don't look at them no type of way. It's cool. We're just not on the same frequency, and it's all good. And if we happen to cross over the same frequency, more power to you. If we don't, more power to you. I wish you well. But if it's destined to happen, it's gonna happen. You know?
I envy that shit so much, man. Because I mean, I still struggle with like people, because you'll view that situation and be like, yo, we just don't vibe together. And like, more power to you. Rock out, my man. And I look at that shit as like, there's a lot of people that want negative things to happen to people. And I see that, because you see the evidence everywhere as far as people wanting to do bad things. And we already addressed that, but it's hard for me to take that leap of we just don't rock together like that, man. It's just like, nah, bro. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
like,
fuck
you
with
full
you.
of-
I don't fuck with you, bro. Like, because, and you know, I think a big part of that was probably this little small dose and cocaine hit of fame that I had. And when you see people do like evil shit to you, like evil, like I tried to be honorable in a lot of the things that I did, and like I said, I made a lot of mistakes, man. But even when I made mistakes, I tried to have some kind of honor in those mistakes to right those wrongs. And you see people do evil shit. You see people do like that money shit is.
Oh, no doubt.
Bro, it is,
imagine,
man.
in
And
your position.
yeah, and you see people, and like I don't want to paint myself as like I'm a victim of my success. 'Cause that's whack. I love my life, but it's you when you see people stop looking at you like a human. That's really shaped my worldview. When you see people like that whole like the NFL protest stuff, right? So you see one camp say it's not about the military. You see another camp say, we love our vets and yada yada, you're disrespecting the vets. But they use the vets as like this leverage and as like pawns in their sick little political game of like, you don't really give a fuck about the vets, or we'd have massive amounts of vet programs for PTSD research, help them get back on their feet when they come back, for psychological damages they go through. Like we wouldn't see the effect that we do on those vets, but I see people view those as just numbers. So when they say, oh, 20,000 people died in the Iraq war, or whatever the case may be, like they're just numbers to people. Like when people stop looking at people and as numbers, that's when I see that their observation of us as humans changes my view of them, and it's a sick game. It's a little teeter-totter game that I'm in, and it's hard for me to shake that because you don't view life like that, and it's interesting to me how you don't. And like I would say,
like what you're stating, I could feel the exact same way.
Right.
I could feel the exact same way.
Right.
But what's the best way to change the narrative? Engage in it or change it? And so if I engage in it, now I'm a part of it. But if I change it, now I got the power to really change it.
So by engaging it, what do you mean?
So if I know you full of it,
Right.
I could see it.
Right.
Which most of the time we can.
Right.
So am I going to be full of it too, just to play the game with you? Right? Engage in it.
And I think just talking this out kind of helped me see how I act, right? So I think I'm a pessimist because I'm an internal optimist, right? It bothers me that not everybody wants to see everybody do good.
Absolutely.
That shit bothers me. Like, how do you not want to see another human being?
Understand.
I don't understand.
Why don't you?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it irks me. And should it irk me? I don't know. Right. But it does. It bothers me to see negativity on people who are just trying to do good. Like if I go, I don't like YouTube comments, Instagram comments. Like I try to stay out of those because like somebody, I don't even know. I don't go in your comments unless I post something. But I'm not reading. I'm not checking for anybody else because like there's negativity in there, and it's just like, and sometimes it's just for attention, which is a whole nother bag of worms. But it's like there's this constant swirl of negative vibes around positive things that fucking it bothers me because and maybe that's what it is. Like, I want good, but I just see so much, and it's not that I really engage in it. It's just that I observe it, and then that observation, I guess, is that that old saying like they say one man can change the world. I don't think that's the case. So I kind of like I kind of sit back and just like I'm gonna fix my world, and hopefully that'll make it a better place for my children. And that's the only thing that keeps me as positive as it. And of course, my children are awesome. Sometimes they're assholes, but like they're awesome. So like that helps me get through my day. Definitely, man.
I think it should bother us though. It shouldn't affect us.
Good. So I ain't
but
asshole.
It should bother us. Right. It
Yeah.
shouldn't affect us to where it starts to alter our behavior, our actions, our words, but it should bother us. I put it to you like this. So we grow up in a system, whatever the case may be. Most of the kids I grew up around, my cousins in particular, we grew up without a father in the home, right? We grew up dysfunction. Cool. We see it. We question it, right? We question the institution of a family. Whatever the father's response is. Oh, well, your mom was tripping. Oh, well, I had to do this. I had to do that, right? And let's say they don't accept responsibility for not being there. And they give you a BS answer or full of it. And you know, man, you full of it. Whatever. Okay, you full of it. We know you full of it. But do we go out and repeat the cycle? No.
Yeah.
Right? It bothers us.
Right.
But we're not going to let it affect us to the point to where we're going to repeat the cycle. No, we're going to break the curse. We're going to start over and we're going to create, something that's better than what we experienced, right? It's that whole quote of, how do you become, when you're kids, how do you become what you've never seen, right? You change the narrative of it. Right. And so when we're out dealing with people that's full of it, I'm going to just change the narrative, right? You try to be spiteful, I'm not going to be spiteful, right? Regardless of because what I'm saying to him is...
That's that fight you were talking about.
What I'm saying to him is, you're not that powerful. Like, you think you're not that powerful to where you can control me. You better go play with somebody else. Like, you're not that powerful. Like my wife is that powerful.
Right.
To where she can affect me in that way.
Right.
But you're not that powerful. Right?
Yeah, so it's like that, you ever watch like one of those like independent woman stories? Right. And she's like, I'm taking my power back.
I'm taking my power back. You got the power. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back.
That's it. But Jack. It's real though. But Jack. But that's real though, man. It is a lot. You know what I've learned? Because I used to think when I was younger, college, even earlier, bro, I was like, man, that shit corny. Man, that's corny. It's corny. But like a lot of corny things are truths that corny. You need to live by, man. He said it is corny.
It is. A lot of it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, what's at this point in phase in our life, what's more important?
Exactly.
The energy I possess for my children.
Exactly.
My significant other in the world. Or the energy I possess because you did something toward me that I don't like. Right. I'm not giving you that liberty.
That's real. And that's what I'm taking from here. So all you suckers out there trying to drain my energy, man, Ink told me to take it back.
Don't give it to him, bro. Don't give it to him.
Man, so as you walking through life, man, where do you draw your inspiration from? Because you're a man that's inspiring. So where does the inspired get inspired?
I would say my kids. Wife.
Kids are assholes, bro.
They are. Oh, definitely. Some days I want to.
Man, bro. I'm not one of them cats that be like, man, my kids are just beautiful. Like, sometimes they assholes,
oh,
me.
Definitely.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, definitely. My little sisters and man, every day I wake up, bro, to be honest with you, like my actions, my decisions, the things I do, it's predicated upon what I want to be remembered for. Right. And so I've lived my life accordingly to where like life is so uncertain. Right. I think you said this once in a tweet or something. You said none of us make it out alive.
You do be,
you know what I'm saying?
You do be looking at Twitter.
We're taking it so serious or something. You said none of us make it out alive.
Right.
And that's right. But I think about what I want to be remembered for. And so that's enough inspiration for me. Right. To where how I treat people, how I deal with people. Like I said, in this season of my life, man, it's about having that energy, like to where, like I can't be mad at you and then go to my son's basketball practice and focus. But I'm mad at you.
Right.
But my man's like, Dad, look at this move. And I'm mad at you. I'm going to my daughter's recital, but I'm mad at you.
Right.
And I'm trying to focus and clap, but I'm mad at you, right? I'm not present. And so in this stage of my life, I got to be present wherever I go, man. And so that's connected to ultimately my legacy, my destiny.
Right.
What I want to be known for as a man.
That's what I don't take much on halftime speeches. Right. Those are super corny to me. Like so like especially they're so whack. But like Bill O'Brien said some of the realest shit I've ever heard a man say. And it was totally unexpected and it was at a halftime speech and I was like, that shit worked. I'm hype. We were down. I don't remember who we were playing, man, but we were down at halftime. But he wasn't like angry. Like, you know how some coaches come in there, motherfucker, we gotta. He wasn't like that. He was like, you know what? Fuck them. And fuck everybody who doesn't think we're gonna win. So the only shit that matters is the two first rows of your funeral and your pallbearers. Fuck that, let's go. I was like, ooh.
That's hard.
That is cold. And that is the truth.
That is.
So like when I'm walking this earth, I'm walking around thinking like that's my legacy. Like what do my pallbearers think about me?
That's real.
That's really shit. And that's that's the, like you said, the season in your life now is that's why I love being 30, right? Because 30s, it's so funny. You young to old cats, and you old to young cats.
Right.
Yeah,
you're in the middle.
It's the funniest shit ever, dog.
You're in the middle.
It's funny. But you in this place where if you're humble enough, you can draw inspiration from anywhere you want to.
Absolutely.
And you're in this place where you're youthful enough to go have all the fun you want to.
Absolutely.
Like, it is the most, like, I used to love college. When people, remember when we went to college, like, this is the best time of your lives.
Oh, absolutely.
All the people back at home, like, this is the best time of your lives, enjoy it. And I was like, yo, this is a really good time. And then I got out of college, I was like, what the fuck were they talking about? Like, y'all niggas must be miserable.
They gotta be miserable.
Because life is great on the other side.
Right.
But then I hit 30 and, like, I'm not young and dumb anymore. Like, I mean, an old head probably hear that and say shit. But, like, I feel like I'm in this age where I'm humble. Like, I have just humbled myself so much to where, like, I can have a conversation. Like you said, I try to strike up conversations with strangers all the time because there's no telling what kind of knowledge that they'll drop on you. Absolutely. You could talk to somebody totally crazy, hopped up on LSD, but he might say one thing that'll stick with you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And that's the beautiful thing about 30, man.
Absolutely. It's almost like you've lived enough life and experienced enough things and made enough mistakes to where you like, that ain't important no more.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like when cats start to get, I used to wonder, man, I should be around cats like 40, 50, 60. And it's like we could look at the same thing and it would be like my man's like Cyclops. He'll see, you know what I'm saying? My man, like, and he'll see it like totally different.
Right.
Like his perspective on it will be totally different.
Right.
I'd be like, how my man like get that out of that?
Yeah.
But it's like their experience. It's almost like when we start playing, right? At first, when we get to college, the game's super fast. Cats flying around. Mm-hmm. But you get to the point when the game slow down, then what? It's on.
Yeah.
You could play.
Yeah.
And you get to a point in life to where life slow down. And the things that were so important, you're like, man, whatever. Right? You get to the point to where a Friday night turns into you chilling at home watching a movie night with your kid. And it's the dopest thing ever.
I got like 300 movies ordered on my iTunes right now, bro.
Dopest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
Netflix, all that.
Yeah.
And it's like just values change.
Yeah,
it's nothing against what happened before because that was fun.
It was.
In that season, it's like success.
Right.
At every phase of your life, you start to value success a little bit different.
Exactly.
One phase is paper, right? You get it. Cool. One phase, I'm going to take care of my family. You take care of your family. Cool. Right? You start to value success as, man, I'm spending time with my children. It's like you value everything different.
Right. If you have your head on straight.
Yeah.
And I see, because I still see cats my age out there doing
oh, no doubt.
shit that I was doing at 20. Yeah.
Wildin'.
Man, ain't no shout out to them, though.
No doubt. No doubt.
Shout out
Have
to
fun.
them.
Live it up. Put an expiration date on it, though.
Real shit. That's real shit. I just don't have that energy anymore, man. Like, I remember going out. We used to go out and like I always wanted somebody to make a skit. If somebody's a film or art director, man, make this skit, please. Make a skit of people going to the club, but there's no music. It's just dead.
Right.
And you're just gonna see a whole bunch of people standing on couches, staring at your phone the whole time. Like this shit is it's just the whole bunch. It's just it's just a room full of insecure. And look at me judging people. That's what I usually do. And you know what? I think it's healthy though, man. I was having this conversation like I'm not racist, but I'm definitely prejudiced. Right?
Explain. Explain.
So I think everybody is prejudiced, man.
Okay.
I think some people admit it and some people don't. But I feel like the difference between prejudice and racist is if I'm racist, I believe that I'm superior because of my race.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm superior because I'm a half black, half Mexican man. I don't feel like I'm superior at all to anybody. Like I judge you off your merit. But I definitely prejudge people, and I think we all do it. So if I see an Arab man on a plane, I'm gonna watch him. It is what it is. I'm not gonna act out on it though. I'm not gonna be like, hey, don't start no shit, bro. That's not me. But like in the back of my head, like stereotypes and prejudices are prevalent in our society, especially in America, man. Absolutely. Like this is born on racism. Absolutely. So I understand white people have that about me too. Like I've gotten in elevators and white women clutch their purses. I'm like, I'm cool. I'm not gonna rob you, ma.
Right.
But like it doesn't really bother me to the extent I can see how it does. But I feel like the prejudice part of it, I think it's healthy, right? And this is why I think it's healthy. In this post-racist society that they claim we live in, I think it's important to put our prejudices out on the table, because I feel like when you start to hold things in, you start to harbor resentment that shouldn't even be there. Like if I feel a certain way about somebody and I'm like, I don't like the way this nigga does this, I don't like how he does this, I don't like how he does this, but I never tell him.
Right.
In my head, I'm building up, and he's just marking tallies in my head about he fucked up here, he fucked up here, he fucked up here, but all the while he doesn't even know he's fucking up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And so if I go to him from the jump and say, man, listen, bro, I don't like how you do this, and this, then he's like, oh shit, I didn't even know I was offending you like that. No, you gotta give him that chance, right? So that's why I feel like it's important to have prejudices or any kind of preconceived notions about anybody, but address them. Like, just don't leave them on the table. Like, if you feel like I'm gonna steal your wallet, let me know so I can ease that comfort. I don't need your wallet, man. Like, I promise you. But I think it's a very healthy mindset to have. Now, when you make that jump from prejudice to racist, or you think you better than somebody else, that's when that whole superiority complex gets involved, and then all of a sudden,
what is that though?
What is what?
That ego.
Prejudice or racist?
Racist.
That's a deep topic, but I think it's a lot of variables.
Gotcha.
Racism comes from there are different types.
I guess when I was connecting ego to superior.
Oh, of course. It's ego. It's false information as well, right? Because there are a lot of people who feel like they're superior to people because of the information that they're being told that's not verifiable.
Gotcha.
And that's why I always say that's how I got to where I'm at in my point theologically, where I would consider myself an atheist, because I believe that it's more important for me to believe in things that are true than are not true. So I'm not I'm not an atheist saying there is no God, Inky. Right. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there may well be a God. I don't know, but I don't see any evidence for it. And I came to that line of thinking of, if I believe in more things that are true, it's more beneficial to me as a human. If drinking a whole bunch of sugar eventually will cause cancer, which it might, the studies are starting to show, then it's more beneficial for me not to drink sugar. Right. Because the truth says that it causes cancer. And I'm not saying that it does, I'm just saying the studies are whatever. It's an example. So theologically, I think it's the same thing. I think well, I don't want to get into that, but the superiority complex and the ego of people, it's the same concept. If you believe in things that aren't true and demonstrably not true, but you don't seek the actual truth unbiasedly, I think you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Absolutely. And you're doing everybody around you a huge disservice, because the crazy shit is, the moment you find out your parents are Superman or your authority figures aren't Superman, Superwomen, it's a weird feeling. Right. Because as a kid, you're like, they know what they're doing. And then you grow up and you realize, holy shit, they were just guessing. They have no clue what they're doing. But once you figure that out, you figure out how much of my ideals, how much of my character traits, how much of my worldview did I inherit from somebody who didn't seek truth for themselves. And they got it from somebody, and they got it from somebody, and they got it from somebody. Right. So there are long lines and generations of people who believe things that aren't true. Right.
Because they didn't challenge it.
They didn't challenge it. And that's all. And that's where all my theology, that's where all my science, it comes from. It comes from, is it true? Can it be demonstrably provable or not? And even if it is or it's not, I want to give myself the best chance to believe in things that are true, because it's more beneficial to me than to believe in something that's not.
Right. It's your personal value system.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we all have our vices, man, but I try to stick to that to the best of my ability.
Yeah. It's that whole concept of, like, a cat taught me this when I was younger. Like,
a cat or
not a cat.
I mean, shit, I don't.
Cat. You know, that's a word we use around Atlanta.
I'm about to say,
not a cat,
because you know in the hood, right? There's stray dogs, but in the suburbs there's stray cats. So you know what I'm saying?
No, not a cat. Man, a cat. Like a person.
I knew that. I'm fucking with you.
Yeah, I know. But cat taught me, man. He said, you don't have to respect somebody's thought, but you can respect their thought process.
Oh man, I
know what I
live
mean?
by that, dog.
And so it's a lot of people, their
live by
actual
that.
thought, right? We don't have to respect it, but I
Right.
can respect your thought process and how you
Right.
got to it.
100, bro.
You know what I mean?
I tell people that all the time because like I follow a lot of. I'm real super interactive on social media, well, Twitter anyway, and like so I follow a lot of right wing media, like super conservative people who like say some outlandish like shit, but sometimes the way that they arrive to their conclusions, I appreciate the way that they arrive. I don't agree with it, but I love the way you thought it out. You A B C, then you cross your T's, dot your I's, and I appreciate you having the depth and the care to go through your thought process. Because majority of people in this country, they just believe what they believe.
Absolutely.
because.
I agree.
I think the reason why we're in the political climate that we're in right now is because of that exact same thing right there. Is people just believe without checking the sources.
Right.
And I feel like that's a problem. And that's where I feel like we're headed to in the future. Not to get too deep on that, but we're headed to in the future of this coming point where, because we live in the information age. In the information age, like you can go get you can learn what you want to learn. And so there's gonna be like a moment of reckoning where truth, or what is truth, it has to be addressed as a society. But man, this has been an amazing conversation, bro.
Oh, for sure. Man.
I could talk to you for 3 hours, man, or just have you talk to me.
Okay.
You like that little, I wish I could just like pocket you, have a little pocket Inky,
My
man.
God,
I think about doing some stupid shit. Let me pull out my little pocket Inky, man. I'll do
pop
the right.
up on the shoulder. Arian.
Sitting on my
Don't do it.
sitting on my shoulder, swinging his legs and shit. Man, we gotta keep more in touch. I mean, I know it's hard. We both got busy schedules, man. But it's always a pleasure talking to you. We're gonna link back up when you come back in town. Send all your family my love, and I will do the
Likewise,
same.
my
Oh, man,
brother.
I was talking to Mr. J. He told me to tell you what's up, man.
Mr. J. Oh, Mr. J.
Yeah.
Mr. J.
Yeah, he said, man, tell me what's up, man. No, I will do that, man. I will do that. My whole family loves you.
Absolutely.
Everybody that's ever met you, I'm pretty sure feels exactly the same, bro. You are a beacon of light in today's world, man.
Thank you. Bro.
So if you are a fan of the podcast, man, we end every episode the same way.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to get Jim Carrey on the podcast, man.
There it is.
So I ask every guest on the podcast to take a look in the camera and try to convince that brilliant man to come holler at your boy, man. So if
Jim
you could do
Carrey, Inky Johnson here. You don't know me from a can of paint, but I know you. My man knows you. I think if you come here, man, it'll be a great interview, great time. My man is crazy intelligent, but other than that, man, it's just a great person to build with. I hope it happens. I think putting it out in the atmosphere is going to make it happen, and I can't wait until I see it happen. Take care.
Maybe I just need to drive to LA like you
Right,
drove to
yeah,
Chicago. Get that nigga a book.
Give him a football.
Give him
a jersey.
He ain't gonna fuck with
Signed
a football.
jersey.
I don't even have footballs.
Signed
That's just
jersey.
crazy.
You know?
Inky Johnson, man, I appreciate you
My
coming
guy.
on. You can come on
Thank you.
anytime, man.
Thank
If y'all
you, my
check him out,
brother.
you got anything to plug? Any
Hey, man, I'm just Inky Johnson on everything.
at
Serving.
Inky INKY Johnson JOHN.
HN, absolutely, SON.
At Twitter, Instagram, and I
Inky
say if
Johnson.
you're on Facebook, kill yourself.
Yep.
Much love, bro. I appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Oh, it's
Thank
all my
you.
pleasure, bro.
Oh, my God.